Turn the music up.
Kiss 92. Waking up Singapore. Gotta get up. The Big Show on Kiss 92. Gotta get up.
Good morning, Singapore, and welcome to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for today is award-winning psychologist from the therapy room, Dr. Geraldine Tan. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Nice.
Dr.
morning,
Jerry. How was your long weekend?
It was interesting, but I got to rest a little bit and I didn't want to wake up this morning.
You and us the same.
You should have given us a call. We would have given you the day off.
That's right. We have the power to do that, you know.
No, I would still come on. I'll just either do it from office or home, right?
Oh, from home.
Ah, so
I
sweet.
miss all of you.
Well, it looks like you decided to go into the office today.
Yep. And it's bright today. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's
Well,
been-
it is a work day for you, isn't it?
It is. I was just
okay.
kidding when I said I didn't want to come.
And I mean, for the Kiss 92 fans who are just getting to know Dr. Geraldine Tan, we've been with Jerry now for, a couple of years or more. And Jerry is the most committed, one of the most committed persons that we know.
Very true.
In
Very
fact,
true.
sometimes she would go for a holiday and still insist, on
being
not
on-
missing out
Yeah.
on the show. Thank you very much, Jerry.
Dr. Jerry's done it from everywhere. She's done it from Phuket. She's done it from like outside.
Japan.
She's done it from a car. She's done it from a cafe.
Oh, yeah.
Somehow you put it that way, it doesn't sound right.
No,
No?
no, no.
Dr. Jerry has done it everywhere.
Oh.
She's done it from her
From a
car,
Glenn, that's-
from
that's-
her-
cafe.
That's only if you have a mind that thinks
Yeah.
like
Jerry.
that. So-
Everyone was thinking that.
Yeah, nobody was
after what
thinking
she
that.
Glenn, now
See?
everybody has woken up.
Yes.
They have set up.
Good, which means then we can start talking about what we're supposed to be talking about today.
Which is learning
Disabled-
disorder.
Learning-
Learning
Sorry,
disorders.
Learning disorders.
Learning disorders. 'Cause
Learning
this
dis- learning disorders.
Learning-
Yes.
Yes. Because this year is the first year that many of the children or the students do not have mid-year exams. So
Yes.
they were
Wow.
announcing it for, we go yay. But many parents are still very, very worried. And schools also have the non-weighted assessment or weighted assessment to track the students. So we still have some way to test the students.
So why are parents worried?
Will they be able to do the year-end examinations? What does that mean? Will my child slack off for the rest of the year? So there are different sort of worries that the parents have. But I think more than that, the removal of one of the major examinations in the year provides us with more ability to help the child. And that's what I wanted to capitalize on for the
Right.
children to have opportunities.
Okay. Let's continue to talk to Jerry on the Big Show TV. It is Tuesday, the 2nd of May.
Kiss 92 Day Check brought to you by Gain City Megastore at Sungei.
The
So it's a positive thing
The
then.
mid-year exam is always seen as like a gauge.
It's a
It's like,
gauge.
okay, is the
Yes.
kid ready for the final
Yeah.
exam?
Yeah, but
If
Dr.
not,
Jerry
we've got
says
6 months.
it's the same thing. You've got weighted assessments, which almost act like the same thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
just named something
But
else.
the parents, I don't think the parents understand the weighted assessment.
They'll get to know it,
They'll
I'm
have
sure.
to
They'll
get
get to know it.
They'll have to get to know it.
Yeah.
But Jerry, when we
Yeah.
talk learning disorders, what are they really?
Learning disorders are really how the brain acquires information, very, very simply put, right? Because all the jargon and everything, many people don't understand. So I often explain it this way, because our brain learns or picks up information. Now, for those with learning disorders, they find it difficult to acquire, to retain information and make sense of information. And it can come in various forms. It can come in terms of the reading disability, what do you call that? Speech. So when they speak, it's difficult for them. Writing may be difficult for them. calculation may be difficult for them. Reasoning, organization may be difficult for them. So it can fall into various categories.
Even attention, right?
Attention is also another area. So, but some of these acquisition of knowledge may also affect attention.
All right.
So there's, yeah.
Is dyslexia a learning disorder?
It is called a specific learning disorder, SLD. So it falls under the umbrella of specific learning disorder. So it's not a language impairment, but it can affect your reading, it can affect your writing.
Right.
So
Okay.
there's so there's dyslexia, there's dyspraxia, which is more motor. There's dyscalculia, where they have a lot of issues with their arithmetic or mathematics. There's central auditory processing disorder, attention deficit disorder, many different disorders. Yes.
Do there seem to be more disorders now as compared to, say, 30 years ago? I mean, is there an increase in disorders in children?
There's no increase in disorders, but because we are now more aware of the fact that disorders exist, and we have categorized them into so many various kind of disorders, that suddenly everybody has a label of sorts.
Oh,
So it's very
right.
strange.
Because you can
Yeah.
now identify an issue,
Yeah.
unlike before.
Before, yeah.
You know,
Yes.
But doesn't that
Yes.
sort of like, you know, you've put a label on almost, you say a lot of kids now seem to have a label. Would that not hinder them through school because now they've been labeled as such?
I want to put it out there because I get asked this all the time. If my child has dyslexia, does he or she need to go to a special school? If my child has ADHD, do they need to have special education? The answer is no. They can still remain in the mainstream education. And the schools now, there are many schools that are really on the ball. They have allied educators, they have the learning support to help the students through.
But not all schools, right?
We are pushing for all schools. I mean, the ministry is pushing for all
Right.
schools, and we hope that, or most schools will have it. And actually, I do think that many schools do have learning support.
Okay.
I think it will happen. It will happen. I mean, if they
Yeah.
can do away with the mid-year exams, anything is possible
I mean, it
now.
needs to go across the board because otherwise then children will be picking schools based on them having allied support and stuff like that, you know, for the kids.
Yeah. Hey, you were mentioning dyspraxia just now, which is a motoring
Motor
thing,
Motor-
right?
motor problem.
Yes.
So, give us an example of that.
So dyspraxia, they are very uncoordinated. They also have, so it will manifest as learning issue, but they're very uncoordinated, or they have poor organizational skills, also poor social skills. They probably try to make friends, but because they're so uncoordinated, writing is tough for them. Even if they want to reach out and tap a friend, they may hit too hard or they miss a friend,
Wow. Okay. So if I was a kid, like I would found it very hard to do choreographed moves and dancing like that. I'd have dyspraxia.
Yeah.
Okay.
that
So
will
I
be
had dyspraxia.
tough
Then.
Oh,
for
yeah.
them.
I still have it.
I'm just putting a label on myself because we used to do school dances and stuff
But then
like
you
that.
were sociable. She says people with dyspraxia is
Unsociable?
Yeah.
May have social issues.
May
So
have.
Have,
May
right.
have, you see.
So I'm like bordering on,
She
because
never had social issues.
No, never.
That's what I
No,
mean. They may
Always
have.
going out with a lot of friends and boys.
I know, I
Oh.
still have
You didn't even know
dyspraxia
me.
for sure.
Yeah, he can't dance for
I
nuts.
can't dance to save my life. But Prashant, Jerry has come up and said,
Yes.
learning disabilities are not the same as intellectual disabilities?
Okay, very, very good, Prashant. Thank you for highlighting that. So it doesn't mean that if you have learning disorder, your IQ is affected. Many of my young students or even adults, so adults can actually have learning disabilities or learning
Jerry.
disorders.
We go on air, we talk about this.
I'll ask
We
you
go
this
on air, we
question
talk
on
about
air,
this.
Jerry.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, because 11 seconds only. I reckon you need more
Okay.
time.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Yes, I talk too much.
No, FD talks too much.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Here we go.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the PIE towards Tuas, right after Toguan Road's exit, a vehicle has broken down. Also on the PIE in the same direction, but this time after Jurong East Avenue 2, avoid lane 2, another stalled vehicle has been spotted. Wherever you are today, stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. It's Glenn Angel and the Flying Dutchman. And we have our guest for today, Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
So, Jerry, Prashant has come onto our Facebook page and said this: learning disabilities are not the same as intellectual disabilities. Yes,
Exactly. So they're not the same, and I'm very, very glad Prashant brought it up, because many of the students, adults with learning disabilities, they can be very intelligent. So the IQ is not affected. So a lot of people are very worried that, if I have a learning disorder, it means that I'm stupid or I'm dumb. Yes, before they are diagnosed, they are labeled as lazy, procrastinating, not working hard enough, not putting in effort. But when we test them, we realize that their IQ really is not affected at all. And many CEOs or people in very successful positions can have ADHD, dyslexia, and hold really successful careers.
Okay.
So what is the first step for a parent who spots something might be, that child might be finding some efforts to make their day go by, a lot of challenges that they may face? What do the parents then do? How can they help?
So you check whether the child is having the same difficulty on all the different environments. So if it's at home, in school, so there is consistency, because sometimes they struggle in school, but they don't struggle at home, or they struggle at home, but they don't struggle in school. It could indicate something else. So the teacher typically would be the one highlighting, because the teacher has a larger volume of students to do that, not comparison, but to notice that there is something wrong, or the learning may not be as fast. So they would alert the parents. So the parents can then bring to a psychologist for testing or an assessment. So an assessment typically comprises of a few components. One would be the interview section with the parents, because we need to find out the background. Then we need to determine the type of tests to be conducted. Then we do the test. And then we get the results and do the feedback. So it's a process.
And this is the same whether it's child or adult.
Yeah, so for the adult, also very similar. However, some of the adults may not have the bandwidth or the time, so sometimes they do screen us.
Okay. Who do you call? Dr. Jerry. It's 8:14.
My team.
92 Time Check brought to you by Putian. Fresh, crisp, and tender Tuoto clams are...
Okay. So, in your opinion, are you getting more of such cases? Children with learning disorders.
Disorders, yeah. Well, we do have a fair share, because our portfolio is actually divided into the children and adults. But across board, there are more parents that are aware. There are more educators that are more aware of the different learning disorders. So I'm really, really grateful for tutors who are in really close proximity with the children and are teaching them and realize, hey, actually, I think the child has an issue, and courageously tells the parents that, your child is not learning or optimizing his learning because he may have a learning disorder. So we do have tutors pushing them forward.
How varied is the spectrum? I'm sure it starts from extremely mild to really, really serious and more challenging. How varied is it?
So usually we get those that already the child is struggling in some way or another. If it's small and it's not, really uncomfortable for the student, they still can manage. You would have gone through life quite easily, putting in some ways to help yourself, some coping mechanisms to help yourself. So all of us would learn and adapt anyways. But these would be the children or the adults that are actually struggling.
But back in the day, we were just called not focused.
Yeah, we
Exactly.
were
You know,
called
we're
not
like,
focused.
you're
about to say,
lazy, your child is lazy, your
Yes.
child can do so much better, they've got so much potential, but they don't want to do the work, they're not focused. I mean, then we
Correct.
all had disorders, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure we did.
I think
because
so.
I
Which is why I'm saying, assess me, lah.
You have spent years trying to get Dr. Jerry to assess you.
It's just an assessment, but not a session.
Jerry, on our Facebook page again, Ashley has come out and said learning disorders, can they be overcome through training or conditioning?
I'm not sure what training and conditioning she means, but we do manage the disorders, which means that it cannot go away. It's not like a cough and cold that goes away, but we can train it, so if you talk about training, if someone has dysgraphia, can they train their handwriting? Can they train their motor skills? They can train, but we call it more management. So it doesn't disappear.
So you're saying it can be fixed to a certain extent, like managed. Not so much fixed, but managed. It will always be
Yes,
there.
it can be managed to a certain extent. It will still pop out, every now and then in various ways, but more or less it will be dealt with, and you know what to do with it, which is important.
Is it hard to manage it? I mean, is it something that takes a lot of focus and concentration?
I think the very first step, the most difficult step, is recognizing that one has an issue.
No, I have no trouble recognizing that. I have an issue.
He has
Really,
many issues.
I do. Yes, I think I have many issues. Not focused. It's so hard for me to absorb knowledge. Yeah, it's a miracle I'm where I am today.
It is a miracle, yes. Every day that you wake up.
Must be my mom's daily prayers, I think. She claims credit every single time. You know how hard I prayed for you.
She's like, oh, my son.
Yes.
This is why every time he goes over, his mother's perspiring.
No.
All the prayer. Dr. Jerry, treating a child, another question on our Facebook, treating a child and treating an adult, same treatment? Assuming the condition is the same?
Yeah, slightly different. I mean, with the child, it's more academic management. For the adult, the adult would have different coping mechanisms already, and the environment is different. So we work with the adult slightly differently in terms of organizational skills, or the awareness of where the disorder might affect him or her.
So you were talking about motor skills like writing and stuff like that. What the last disorder that you mentioned, something I can't.
Dysgraphia.
Yeah, dysgraphia. So what is that again?
Writing. Also, it affects the writing, the drawing, so the whole fine motor skills.
So it's just like really messy handwriting? Is that what it is?
It's more than that. It's the ability to draw or write efficiently, yeah, and to organize the different parts of it.
Right. Okay. Because I'm just thinking, not everyone can draw, right? That doesn't mean that they have a
Oh,
disorder.
no. Of course not. Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
it's nothing
Neatly.
to do with draw. Yeah.
How about the
yeah.
ability to actually hold on to the pencil or the pen? Some people after they write, right, and then they feel tired,
I feel
very
tired.
quickly.
I feel tired very quickly now because we don't use pens.
Yeah, but
We
even
don't
back in the
write,
day,
you know?
I mean,
That-
when I used to have to write,
Yeah.
during exams and all that,
Yeah.
I would find it like, it's so tiring,
It's
know.
for most people, it's a problem with your wrist.
So is that a thing in the
Because
head
Michelle
or,
has it as well.
Dr. Jerry?
So many of these learning disorders, we don't operate alone. So we have speech therapists to come in and help the student. We have the occupational therapist to help with the motoric skills. So they would go through another battery of tests with these specialists, and they would have different programs for them to help them with.
I
Interesting.
see.
Got it.
We've got another comment on our Facebook page that says some schools actually provide psychological assessments and then go on to provide learning support for that child,
Oh, right. Okay.
which I think is
Okay.
great.
Okay. That's good.
I just think that for kids, right, at that young age, if you tell them or if they find out that they have this issue or that issue, it'll
Hinder them?
Hold them back.
it'll give them an excuse.
I knew
Yeah.
you were going to say that. Okay. So many times when we do the testing, right, parents will say, should I share it with my child? So then I would ask the parent, what makes you ask this question? And exactly like what Glenn says, I'm afraid that my child will use it as an excuse. So how we position it to the students or the children is that we help to find out what's going on so that you can learn better and learn differently and make your school a more pleasant experience and not use it as an excuse. Of course, ultimately, if they do use it as excuse, we cannot help it. But
Okay.
oftentimes when we do catch them, we say, nope, it's not an excuse. You just have to work harder.
Okay, hold on. We'll
okay.
go back on air. Stand by.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On West Coast Highway heading towards the city after Clementi Road, avoid the left lane. An accident has been reported. Also on the PIE towards Tuas right after Jurong East Avenue 2, avoid the right lane as well. That's lane 1. Another accident has been spotted. Wherever you are today, stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Our guest for this morning is from the therapy room. She is Dr. Geraldine Tan.
Jerry, we were just talking about how this can be used as an excuse by some kids
Or parents
or
even.
parents.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it where you have a situation where this then develops a complex in the child?
In what sense? Inferiority complex?
Yeah,
or-
like I'm like I've got dyslexia. That
I'm crippled that
I'm
way.
crippled that way.
In learning.
If it is the case, okay, I've not seen. I mean, if we do hear it, we work with it. It would have already affected the self-esteem for some of the students or some of the adults. So we work on that, but we would not. We would not allow it to develop to become this inferiority complex just because we've diagnosed you with a disorder.
Yeah,
But you did say something interesting earlier. You said you cannot use that as an excuse. You just have to work harder. So that's the kind of mindset that people have to have, whether you're an adult or a child who's been diagnosed with some sort of disorder, that you just have to work harder than the rest.
I will put it this way. Although I say work harder, we have to work harder not because you have to because you have to put in more effort, that you cannot use the average or the every person sort of way to do the same task. So if everybody is using this way or one way or way whatever way to do one task, you have to find a different way to do it. That's why it requires more effort.
So you just find your own unique formula of doing things then.
They are very creative. So many of them are amazing and very creative. I think I was looking at the comments on Facebook, and someone actually highlighted Lee Kuan Yew also has dyslexia.
Yes.
Oh, right.
You
Okay.
know? Yeah,
Yes.
and he is, a really intelligent person. He can talk for hours without a script.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he
It's
didn't see a
quite-
psychologist growing up. He just,
No.
he just
He worked
worked
through
it
it.
out for himself, right? He
Powered
worked through
way
it.
through it, yeah.
So do you think children are more problematic these days? No? Poor parents, really, really.
Yeah, no, I see
think
where
so.
Glenn's coming
But some
from.
parents choose to just leave them alone and
Let them find their own way.
just get over it.
I think it's tough. As one parent put it, and I think I've said it, in some of my talks, and maybe in a couple of years ago when I was talking about dyslexia, this set of parents brought the child to me, and as I was giving the feedback, the father started to cry. Like, the mom and dad were seated opposite me, and the dad started to tear. He said, "Oh my gosh, all my life, I thought I was stupid. And I had to work very, very hard. I can't even read a piece of email and not understand that email. So I always thought I was stupid." And mind you, he's in a very high position, but he felt so beaten by his disorder, and he had no name for it until he saw it in his child, sent the child for testing, and he then identified that, oh my God, I have dyslexia too.
Oh,
And yes,
wow.
dyslexia can run in the family.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
It can. Okay.
Okay, well, Jerry, thank you very much for joining us today. Any
No
last words?
worries. Yes, let's go. I can't. Okay, it's a French pronunciation, so I don't know if I'm doing it right. The author that writes The Little Prince, Antoine
Yes.
de Saint-Exupéry. I think so. I'm not sure. His name, so sorry.
You got it right. Okay.
And he says, perfection is finally attained not when there is no longer anything to add, but when there is no longer anything to take away. So I'm
Nice.
going to leave everyone with that.
Okay, thank you very much, Jerry. We look forward
I'll
to seeing you
see
next
on
week.
week. Bye.
Bye
Jerry.
bye. All right, coming up next, we've got the senior transport correspondent from the Straits Times, Nian Tjoe. But right now, it is 8:28.
Yep.
It is 8:28 on the 2nd of May. It's a Tuesday.
Kiss 92 Day Check brought to you by Gain City Megastore at Sumaikado.
Okay. Good
Nian
morning,
Tjoe.
Nian Tjoe.
Morning.
Time
Hello.
for you. We're talking vans and electric vans.
I was so surprised with that article.
Yeah, actually, it's. I was thinking more than that is whether we are even interested as on the receiving end, right? Whether will we choose an electric taxi to ride on? Like how when you bought a plane and you say I'm gonna offset
Offset
my carbon.
carbon,
and all
yeah.
that. Do you think? I mean, that's really is my question, because on one side, obviously, businesses were incentivized.
Yes.
You dangle a carrot, I'm gonna bite.
Yeah.
So you think that's the only reason they're going electric vehicle rather than because they're going greener?
I mean, you need to incentivize them
Yeah.
to a behavior.
Of
The
course.
question
Yeah.
is on the receiving end, will you pay more for your deliveries to be done on an electric van? Or would you, get to work in an electric taxi? And then on that, then will you then have an electric car?
Is it costing us more to get some stuff delivered by an electric van or go into an electric taxi? I don't know. I've
we
never
don't-
selected the choice
I've
of
never
an
e-
E.
yeah.
Because we're not told. And
Actually, Grab, I don't think they
stopped
charge
it.
extra.
So I was checking because I think earlier they went to town a little bit saying, oh, you can get a hybrid or electric, you can specify.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I was just trying out before coming in. You can't do it anymore.
Oh, you can't do it anymore?
At least it's not there. I couldn't
Oh,
find
really?
it. I went on Gojek. I don't see it as well.
I've got to say, though, that when I get into like an electric Grab or something, I mean, I feel like, yeah, here's a company doing something for the environment. I do feel good, as opposed to getting into a guzzler. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So no, there still is. There is still the eco-friendly ride where you'll get a cleaner energy where possible. That's free. Then you have the green program where you contribute 10 cents to reduce your
Yeah.
carbon footprint with every ride.
This
so
for
they
Grab,
start-
lah.
That's for Grab, yeah.
Oh, okay. I
I'm not
must go
sure
and
about
check that
Gojek.
out.
Yeah, so they do still have that.
Anyway, Nian Tjoe's article is called "Over Half of All New Vans in Singapore Registered in Q1 2023 Were Electric," and this is in ST Digital. It was yesterday's article. Huh?
Yesterday's
That's
article,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, but again, Nian Tjoe also said it was because they were incentivized.
Yeah.
What were the incentives?
Well, actually, we got to look at it from the other side, which is that from April 1st, means outside the first quarter, they will stand to lose the amount of incentives. The incentives gets halved.
Oh, so it was before April 1st that
So
everybody
is
was
rushing
jumping on
for
board.
it, right? Yeah,
Right.
kind of like there's a GST hike coming. What do you do? Pay for the refrigerator now.
Yeah.
yeah. So, but back to it, I think it's about pushing that sort of behavior. Right? If
Yeah.
it means that you could speed up adoption, if that's what as a country you want to reach, okay, I'm not against it. I think it's a necessary move to get there. Yeah.
$30,000, that was the incentive.
Yeah,
That's
so
a-
now
that's
down
a
to
lot.
15.
Right, now it's
Yeah,
down
so
to 15.
as an operator, you can imagine the impact. I mean, just think of whether it's immediate needs like payroll or it's
Yeah.
about your raw materials for your business.
That's like 3-star, 4-star for the monthly
Yeah.
pay and stuff, yeah.
I mean, or take it the other way. Say I'm paying for this. The delivery riders, drivers pay for the year or thereabouts, right? Most
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
we're talking about 51.9%. Right?
Yeah, it's really come
up
up.
from 20.
It's really come up,
It's a
yeah. But it was a
very big
great
jump.
incentive. Clearly it worked.
Yeah. Wonder whether they paid too much.
But enough charging points, huh?
So charging points it's
There are quite a lot, you'd be surprised. There are
Yeah,
quite a number of
there
charging points.
I think it's also been quite going quite down the rabbit hole for this charging point topic, right? Is that commercial vehicles, if you imagine it from a big operator, you have a big fleet doing deliveries, for example. Like last year I remember going to DHL, right, when they actually retrofitted a hub full of chargers.
Right.
Right, so and the thing is, for them, it really makes sense when you can see the wisdom of it is because look, the guys will always be picking up stuff from the hub,
From DHL.
right?
Yeah.
End
Yeah.
of the day, most of those who are employees, as opposed to the contractors, would leave the vehicle there.
That's a smart idea.
So you
yeah.
don't even, in a sense, if you think about it, I think as a nationwide effort, trying to get the private individuals, I need a car to do this, to do that. My life is not that scheduled, but if it's about delivery routes. Hey, this is
That's quite-
it's very intuitive. And
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
really move them over by saying, "Yeah, I'm going to offset your taxes in this way, like with vehicles," and then you can see that they will lap it up. It would make sense.
There are currently 3,600 EV charging points in Singapore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is quite a good. I mean, it's okay. It's a start, right?
I always like to say that if the charger is just happen to be outside of your zone, then you can put 7,000 and it doesn't really.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah,
I,
that's
I
true.
think when
That's
you'll
true.
see EVs really jump is when you get more EV chargers into HDB car parks.
Okay, let's go on here and talk about this a little bit more.
Kiss 92 traffic.
If you're on the West Coast Highway heading into the city, look out after Clementi Road because an accident has been reported. Avoid the left lane there. If you have any other news, it's 8855-0920.
Good morning, Singapore. We are with Nian Tjoe, the senior transport correspondent at the Straits Times. And today we're talking about, the fact that some 51.9% of new vans registered in Singapore in the first 3 months of 2023 were electric vehicles. And this is up from just 20.1% of vans registered in the same period in 2022.
And you were, Nian Tjoe, you were earlier talking on the Big Show TV about how it's possibly because of the massive cash incentives that they were giving out before April the 1st,
Yes,
right?
that's right, yeah.
So you think the numbers, I mean, obviously the numbers are going to drop, but how much are they going to drop by in the second quarter, you think?
I think that really depends on a few things. One is that if we believe what at least what I'm telling you is that the as you rush in the commercial vehicle space, at least the way I understand it is that it's not often it's not a given that each registered vehicle goes to a user, a hirer. You could pre-register it.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a business cost for the dealer or whoever it is. I'm going to hoard these vehicles, right? But then what I'm saying is that maybe in the immediate month or a couple of months, they'll start bleeding out. They start pushing this out. What would you do if you have 10 vehicles just waiting to make money for you as a business owner? You go out
You
and
wanna get it
market
out there,
right? Push it
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
So I think even though registration might not continue to go up, right, you see the utilization is going to come in.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Got
And
it.
at the
got
same
it.
time, your existing vehicles, you start going, hey, that thing's a bit, the diesel that you're using, the petrol that you're using, it's very expensive. You try to get it back, right? Because that's probably amortized, and then pushing out the electric ones.
Right.
So I think there'll be an exchange, an effect of exchanging that will happen over, I don't know, easily a quarter of a year, 3 months.
So it's more the incentive that they gave more than the fact that people wanted to go greener, that people were jumping on board and buying
I think it reinforces each other. Because if you are able, fundamentally the incentives help to lower the cost because tax
Make it
expensive the
easier.
initial
Yeah.
part, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make it a bit more affordable.
Yeah. Good
Okay.
move.
All right. We are speaking to Nian Tjoe, and we'll continue to talk to him on The Big Show TV. Up next, we've got To Die For. This is Tove Lo right here on Kiss 92. All the great songs in one place.
Ever see these sort of incentives for private electric vehicles?
Actually,
Personal
there already
electric.
is. There already is.
What is the
from
incentive?
From the
What are
vehicle
the-
emission scheme.
Right.
So if you get an electric car, a fully electric one, you actually get a $25,000 incentive. The difference is it's get incredibly boring. Is that the incentives are given for for private cars, right?
Right.
At the point of sale. So what happens is that then the dealer will simply price in this incentive.
Oh, I see.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, but on the other side, you go like, hey, how is this electric version and a non-electric car quite close in price? But then actually, it isn't. There is a subsidy that's built in.
Yeah, yeah.
The commercial vehicle before April is really exciting because the business owner gets a fat check every year for 20,000, right?
Yeah.
Every year he gets a $10,000 check. I mean, government giving you money. That's a real
Oh,
motivation.
right. Okay. So it's different.
It's
Yeah, but
different.
now that it's been halved, it's going to be dished out at the point of sale.
Right.
First sale.
Okay. So before was different. Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
quite interesting.
Okay.
And
That is
you guys, when you take what do you call public transportation early on, you were saying if you get a what do you call an EV, you
Yeah.
feel
I
good,
feel-
is it?
Yeah,
me.
of
I
course.
just
Yeah,
feel
you
better.
feel a little bit better because
I'm
you're
in a cleaner car.
and also
you
the
know?
ride that you're taking is not emitting carbon.
Yeah.
You know what
Why
I
don't
mean?
you guys just walk?
This
yeah,
is
it's
exactly
too
what
far.
someone said. If you
Take the train.
Well, someone on our Facebook has said EVs do nothing for me. If you want a nice fuzzy feeling, walk or cycle.
Yeah.
Probably says someone who drives a nice car.
He does.
But I kind of feel that way, so no. Sometimes I feel quite bad, because to me it doesn't matter at this point.
To some people,
this
it doesn't.
point.
At this
to some
point,
people, it
I
doesn't.
feel like there will be a point where I feel like it'll matter more.
When
to
the
me.
world starts to burn, watch extrapolations.
maybe, yeah.
Watch that and then you'll see.
Yeah, especially now it's like the weather. and
Yeah,
all that.
exactly. I mean, the weather, this crazy weather is not by fluke, It is
Yeah.
it is a climate crisis. So
No, I just wonder how it's going to come about. What's our net zero target?
20 not 20 2050
2040,
2040 something like that.
We're
Yeah.
supposed to be
2050 get net
electric
zero.
by?
So not electric.
I don't think we've put a number
yeah,
on
we
that.
haven't-
Cleaner
Cleaner,
energy. I mean,
yeah.
you see that there are on the big movers, right? Our public transport operators.
Yes.
and they are not by choice. They have a mandate. They're going to push to become half of them
Yeah.
are going to be cleaner energy.
Yeah.
I think on the topic of whether you're driving, a combustion engine car or choosing to walk, I think at the end is the my question or the thing I look forward to is the fact that you even have this choice. Right? If it's a long
is
journey,
true.
you're gonna bring your some elderly or children out. Yes, you can do it by public transport, but there'll be times when you say maybe I need to use a vehicle, and you
Yeah.
use that vehicle. What is your choice? Are you
Yeah.
gonna have a I don't know, a
Ice or-
smog spewing truck,
Yeah.
or would you want to go electric? You try to. I think this at the end of the day is that we have all these vehicles that are on the road. It gives you this option. We were talking about deliveries. Yes, it's a nice warm fuzzy feeling. What if there's enough warm fuzzy feelings out there? Then there's a commercial case.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
everyone's gonna say, "Oh, even if I do this one thing, it's not gonna help." But if everyone had that attitude, then it's never gonna change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
Singapore's net zero emissions aspiration is 2050.
I still want to change all lah. Then after that it's like, okay, all combustion engines are banned.
Well, I mean,
Every single
that's what
car
they're-
needs to be EV.
That's what they're gonna do by 2050 because
No.
it's gonna be net zero.
No.
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 Net zero means you you put in as much as you take out.
Carbon offsets.
Not necessarily, but you're gonna see
It's not-
you kind of reduce what you can. And here, land transport is one of the biggest emitters, or rather, a significant emitter.
Yeah.
Right, the business of getting around has an impact on the environment.
Right.
So some of these things, the other day I was just with a colleague, we were out doing a story, and we saw a bunch of emergency vehicles, right? This big, I think it was a special operation from the police. It looked all,
The red truck.
manly and everything. And you go like, is that going to be electric anytime soon?
Right.
The question is, at the drop of a hat, if it's a state of emergency, right, a prolonged period, are we going to have, can you realistically say that's going to be fully electric and all of it? There will be some instances when you go, we need
You
to
can't,
have a diesel
yeah.
vehicle.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if those that can be converted are converted,
Yeah.
then we kind of like buy ourselves a little bit more room to not indulge, but to afford pushing these other alternatives, other options.
So what about the countries that say all vehicles, like I think the UK or France, have to be electric by X year?
I think it's
Does that
2030.
include your
That's much
military
quicker.
Usually they would
vehicles?
We're talking
have
big,
caveats.
Nila.
No,
They have
not so much.
caveats,
There's another perspective, or rather another point to consider, is that these are also vehicle manufacturing. They are producing countries.
Right.
So
yeah.
they get to choose and tell the manufacturers, all you people, you want to operate here,
You have to change.
make it. And then the rest of, and here in Singapore, we take what's available,
Yeah.
try to find the best fit.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
You see, when push comes to shove, all those ministers in the UK and all will not even be around. That's the thing, They're just
Well,
saying it right now because it's the popular thing to say.
No,
Yeah.
but also they need to make the planning now so that it,
So that
it
it-
changes then. You
Yeah,
know?
but
You-
then there will be obstacles again. You know what I mean?
It'll be a new
You
man
gotta
in
set the
town.
All
ground.
these
You
politicians.
gotta set the foundation.
I think I don't know their tricks. I mean, at least here in Singapore, our ministers are ministers for decades. Over there is like, no.
Yeah. True.
It's a few years. 5 years later, they're gone. Anyway, stand by.
Thinking you could live without me. Maybe I'm the one who put you up there. I don't know why.
Halsey, Without Me, right here on Kiss 92. All the great songs in one place. Our guest for this morning is Nian Tjoe, the senior transport correspondent at the Straits Times. And we're talking about EVs.
Yeah. Someone on our YouTube said they remember hearing that ICE cars will be phased out by 2030. That's not correct, right?
I think
Is
the more correct term is cleaner energy.
Encouraged.
No, it will only be cleaner energy.
Oh, it
so
will only
cleaner
be clean
energy
energy.
seems to also imply, besides pure electric, there are hybrids.
So
Yeah, but-
every car will be at least a hybrid.
New car.
Oh.
Yeah, but what happens then? The old cars, what? You're going to get super taxed. Probably.
That's an unknown. But
Yeah.
I think if we read the letter says new cars.
Yeah.
So if it's new in the new world, they'll have to be cleaner energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah,
got it.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough,
Yeah,
fair
so
enough.
not
Fair
everything
enough.
will be phased
I'll
out.
be
yeah.
ready to change by that time.
2030? Okay.
Yeah, when there are more charging points.
Yeah, for
More
sure.
charging
Well,
points.
2030 is going to be, what, 60,000, right?
Yeah.
That's the number.
I think more charging
60,000.
points and more options for you to choose
That'll be
from.
brilliant. Yeah.
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 Love it. Okay, Nian Tjoe, anything else for us to look forward to in terms of ST Digital and perhaps maybe some of the things that you're covering?
Working on.
So I think the commercial vehicle space is interesting.
Okay.
Because we were talking about a little bit of this before we were on air as well, is the related things around it. So I'm working on something about charging.
Okay.
So how are you going to get the what is the actual state of electric vehicle charging? And it's on one hand, an easy matrix to say, oh, there are X number of thousands of chargers, but are these chargers really where you need them?
Yeah.
And then the speed, we discussed this before, fast chargers, slow chargers, and how much do they cost?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something I'm working on in this week. Hopefully I can get it out soon.
I'd say they all
Yeah.
need to be fast chargers. I tried doing a slow charger once on the Volvo C40 and it took forever and it only moved like 4%. And then I went to a fast charger on
Yeah.
Thompson Road and I could go into
Yeah.
the shop,
Done
walk
in
around,
20
came
minutes,
back, it
yeah.
was like 40% or something
Yeah.
like that. So I say all chargers should be fast chargers. Why
Yeah.
not?
I mean,
Why
Why,
Why
would
have
anybody want a slow
char-
charger
Exactly. Why
anyway?
would they put a slow charger there? It's the grid,
I learned
suppose.
something last week
Tell us.
about this, which was, the HDB chargers are actually, what this expert we spoke with said that it's actually too fast.
Oh.
Because number one, if you own the vehicle as opposed to having a test car, right? You're not gonna charge when it's zero. You charge maybe when it's 30-40%.
Yeah.
And then if it takes only, which means effectively you need maybe 4 hours to 5 hours to fill it up substantially.
Okay.
So imagine that happens when you get home at night at 8 or 10 o'clock, and you add 5 hours to that, 4 hours, you gotta unplug it.
Yeah, because
so
it's then
actually too
sitting
fast.
there.
Yeah, so it's
Right.
actually too fast. So it's really, I mean, interesting many details.
Factors that
many
play.
factors, yeah,
That could be
details.
deliberate also, because they don't want someone to just leave their car there
Overnight, right?
overnight.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
So they rather people plan it out properly.
There
Okay,
should be
4
rules,
hours and
yeah.
then you're out of there.
because someone's going to come home later than you, and then you're taking up the space
Yes.
there as
Yeah.
well. You know.
Yeah.
Friction.
Okay, topic
You know,
for another
maybe,
day, I guess.
Maybe you can bring it up to the powers that be, Nian Tjoe, that every single condominium in Singapore has to have charging
should.
points.
I agree.
It should.
I
It should.
agree.
It's not the case right now.
It should at least have two.
Really?
At least.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I mean, then I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
For
think so.
sure.
Okay, thank you very much, Nian Tjoe, for joining us
you.
today. Thank you so much.